everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am the Novel Crown because I love bags, purses, and all things novelty. So today I'm going to have a little bit of a different video for you guys because it is October, excuse me, and it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I am a breast cancer survivor. And so I wanted to still do a what's in my bag video, although I'm not going to detail like everything that's in my bag. I'm more so going to be showing you what's in my bag, but also giving you like a little bit of an outline of how things went for me when I was going through breast cancer. Now, I'm going to try to make this video not too long. And so if there are any details that you would like for me to elaborate on, or if you have any questions, please go ahead and pop those in the comments and I will do the best I can to answer any questions you have. And also, even if you don't have any questions or anything, but you would like to be an encouragement, it'd be awesome if you would pop an encouraging word down in the comments for other people who could be either newly diagnosed or going through treatment themselves. It's always nice to just have some support of the community when you're going through something like breast cancer. So let me go ahead and just kind of get into my bag and start telling you a little bit of my story. So I was actually 37 when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Now, they say you don't really start getting mammograms until you're 40, but I was actually younger than that. And so when I, well, the way that it happened, the way that I found my lump is I was riding in the car one day and my seatbelt was very, I want to say itchy, or just like irritating. You know how your seatbelt is like across your body, like across your chest? The way that my seatbelt was sitting, it was just irritating like my chest and my breast area. I couldn't figure out what was wrong. And so I actually thought it was my seatbelt. I thought maybe I don't know, something had gotten on my seatbelt and was irritating my skin. Wasn't quite sure. But anyways, I remember, excuse me, I remember just like feeling on that area, and then I noticed that it was really warm, and I couldn't figure out why it was warm, but then when I felt a little bit deeper into my skin, I noticed that there was a lump. It felt like a hard area, like a hard lump, and immediately I got really nervous and I started wondering, oh no, is this a cyst? Is this cancer? Is this a tumor? Like, what's going on here? And so because of my family history, I immediately went to my doctor. Now, all the while, of course, I'm calling my friends, I'm calling my family, and a lot of people are saying, you know, don't worry about it. It's probably just a cyst. You're probably okay. And because mine hurt, my doctor actually said that it was a good thing that mine hurt, because when something hurts, it's probably not cancer. However, that wasn't true in my experience. But so I went to the doctor. They immediately got me the next day for a mammogram. So I go in for my mammogram, and I'm still hopeful. I'm still holding out that maybe, excuse me, maybe this could just be a cyst. Well, I went, got my mammogram, and I'm sitting there talking to the technician, like, hey, do you see the cyst? Do you think you guys will be able to maybe just like drain the cyst and I'll be okay? Well, she looks at me and she's like, well, hold on, I'll be right back. And she actually brings in a ultrasound tag. And she goes, okay, we're going to send you across the hall. We want to look at this a little bit better and go ahead and get you a ultrasound on this area. So I go in for the ultrasound, and still I'm sitting there like, so do you see the cyst? You know, and so the ultrasound tech is, you know, she's taking her time and she's looking and everything. And so she goes, this isn't a cyst. This is actually cancer. So right then and there, I realized that I have cancer, like right there on the table. And so immediately, like, so many things starts going through my head. You know, I have kids. What kind of cancer is this? You know, what's going on here? And so they went ahead, and that same day they did a biopsy for me. And oh my goodness, I don't know if you've ever had a biopsy, but that was extremely painful. But I just went ahead and went through with it because at this point I'm nervous on what is this, what's going on. So after they did the biopsy and took out the tissue, now mine, they couldn't figure out what was running my cancer, like what type of cancer. I mean, I had breast cancer, but what type of breast cancer did I have? Because there are different kinds, and at the time I didn't know what any of that meant. Like, I just didn't have a frame of reference. People say, oh, I have cancer. Before I had cancer, I didn't know how severe, that is. It was just like, oh, you have cancer, but I just didn't have a frame of reference. So at this point, they're, saying, well, it could be, one of different types of cancer. And it took a while for them to figure out the kind that I had. And so they ended up sending it off to different labs. And eventually it came back that I had triple negative breast cancer. And I was in stage 2. And so because they could not figure out what type of cancer I had initially, what they did was, I wanted a double mastectomy, but I could not get a double mastectomy because they needed me to have chemo right away, because the cancer that I had was very aggressive and it was growing quickly. And so I ended up going through with a lumpectomy. Now what a lumpectomy is they just take like just the tissue, just the cancer tissue out of your body, but they don't take off the breast. And so after the lumpectomy, about a week later, I started chemo. And yes, chemo was very, very harsh on me. It was very hard. And I got pretty sick. I did lose all my hair. I did have a hair cutting party where I went completely bald in front of all my friends and family. But that was, for me, the best way to kind of show, hey, I'm going to fight this. I'm going to fight. I'm going to win. I'm going to do every single thing that I can to get this cancer out of my body. So I did go through the, I'd say about 7 months of chemo. And then right after chemo, I went through radiation. Now radiation, what that does, or what that did for me, is even though I went through chemo, and chemo does go in and kill the cancer cells in your body, there also is a possibility that there could be some lingering cancer cells, like around the breast tissue. And so what that does is that goes in and tries to eradicate any other like cancer cells that could be just sitting around the tissue of your body, and just kind of kill those. So after my radiation, radiation was actually pretty rough. It made me really, really tired, maybe exhausted, and it took a while for me to just kind of get back on my feet and I also had just gone through chemo, but it made me just tired and just a little bit weak. But after radiation, I started getting back into a routine of exercising and eating right, and also being very careful at what I put on my skin. And I try to find things that are, natural, to the best of my abilities. I don't always, but I do the best that I can with certain things, and finding things that are not as harsh on my skin. And also just the food that I eat, like I try to be careful with sugar, and I try to be careful with certain foods and fried foods, so that I really don't want to go through cancer again, or chemo, or any of that. But right now I am 6 years cancer-free from triple negative breast cancer. And to be honest with you, I am thankful for every single day. There's not a day that I don't look in the mirror and just say how grateful I am and how thankful I am that I was able to go through that, and I was able to have a clean diagnosis now. I definitely am there for any of my friends and family who do have a cancer diagnosis, whether it's breast cancer or whether it's, some other type of cancer that they're diagnosed with. But yeah, that's kind of like a rundown of how things went for me. And like I said, sorry if I've stumbled over words or anything like that. It is a little bit of a sensitive subject. But if there are any questions that anyone has, please feel free to put those in the comments so that I can answer any questions that you have. Or if there's quite a few, maybe I'll do another video and kind of go into some more details on how things were for me. And please, if you have a chance, pop in some encouraging words for other people for this month, because you never know who could be going through it. And like always, thank you so much for watching my videos. Thank you for all you guys' comments or your warm support. And I will see you again in my next video. Bye.